My wife Jessica cheated on me with 3 men and justified it by saying she was mentally loyal. Now I'm torn between forgiving her and exposing her betrayal. Can I trust her after she claimed to be lonely and not wanted? My heart is shattered. What should I do? So my wife Jessica, 32, and I, 34, have been together for 8 years, married for 4. Like most relationships, we have experienced our ups and downs, but I always believed things were stable. She is beautiful, intelligent, and always appeared to be so loving. Or at least that was my perception. Recently, I discovered that she had been unfaithful to me, not just once but several times with multiple men. I now know the exact number, 3 different men over the span of a year. The entire situation came to light when I inadvertently found a series of messages on her phone, conversations she thought I would not see. The more I investigated, the more it hurt. She attempted to explain her actions, stating that she had remained mentally loyal to me. She claimed that while she may have been physically involved with these men, emotionally, she was still devoted to our marriage. That did not sit well with me, but I could not help but try to comprehend her perspective. I am not perfect. I recognize that I did not always handle everything correctly in our relationship. I can admit that I did not always make time for her as I should have. I did not plan date nights. I also neglected to do small tasks such as taking out the trash or doing the dishes when I knew she was weary. Perhaps I took her for granted, assuming she would always be there. However, that does not justify her actions. There were many late nights when I was working late and I would return home to find her quiet and distant. I failed to notice the signs. She began to go out more frequently, not telling me precisely where she was headed and being vague about whom she was with. Yet I never questioned her, believing everything was fine. I could have been more observant. I could have asked more questions. One peculiar thing I noticed about all 3 of the men is that they were all 10 years older than my wife. Could this indicate that she is attracted to older men? But regardless. When I confronted her, she cried. She apologized, of course. She expressed that she loved me and regretted her actions. However, she also mentioned something that truly resonated with me. She said she did not feel desired anymore. She felt lonely and I was not attending to her needs. I have kept all of this to myself. I have not told anyone, neither my friends nor my family. I am shielding her image. I do not want to tarnish her reputation in front of others. She is still the same woman I fell in love with, right? I am trying to convince myself that I can forgive her and move forward. It is difficult, though. I am struggling with the concept of moving beyond this. She has told me she was mentally loyal to me and merely gave away her body. As absurd as it may seem, part of me believes her, but another part of me wonders if I can genuinely forgive her. I simply do not know what to do. I lean toward forgiving her, but it is challenging. I am still processing everything. I am uncertain whether I can forget the pain or if I will ever fully trust her again. But I am trying. Should I forgive her and attempt to move on, or am I just setting myself up for further heartache? Update. Thank you for all the assistance, everyone. I believe that without posting and hearing what others had to say, I might have tried to reconcile. It is actually quite unsettling now that I have had time to process it. Some comments were harsh, but they set me straight. It still hurts, but I have been trying to remain composed. My current plan is as follows. 1. Expose her to everyone. This may be difficult to do without gathering some evidence first. Should I persuade her to confess under the pretense of a second chance? Please advise. 2. Leave her with minimal losses for myself, both financially and emotionally. I will likely reach out to a divorce attorney in the coming days. 3. What she did is incredibly painful, but those 3 men were complicit. I want to hurt them as they hurt me. They probably have their own families. It might not be easy, but I would like to reveal their actions to their wives and children. Should I ask Jessica to assist in exposing them under the guise of a second chance? However, this only works if she is even willing to work on our relationship, and I do not know if that is the case. I just feel so hurt right now, and these individuals who have wronged me are living as if nothing has happened. The thought of it fills me with rage. I want to see them suffer as well. But is it even worth my effort? Do you think I should follow through, or should I simply let it go? I would genuinely prefer the latter option, but since you all have not held back before, I hope you will be just as honest this time. Thank you again for all the support. This post received far more responses than I anticipated. Although some were not particularly helpful, those that prompted me to reflect on it and realize how appalling her actions were, I cannot possibly repay them. Wish me luck. Story 2. Caught off guard, I saw my ex's name pop up on my friend O's phone and she blurted, "Oh, it's C." Suddenly, everything I thought I'd moved past came rushing back. How could my rock become a bridge to my heartbreaker? Now I'm questioning all our past talks. What does this mean for us? This is an unusual story. I will try to keep it brief and straightforward. It involves 2 individuals. My ex-girlfriend C. My female friend O. My ex-girlfriend and I were in a long-distance relationship. It was the type of distance that was very inconvenient. but it could potentially work if both parties were willing to make the necessary sacrifices. To make a long story short, she ended our relationship and cited the distance as the reason, but I discovered shortly thereafter that she had been unfaithful. It broke my heart. Shortly after this incident, I was invited to go out with a new group of friends to help me take my mind off things, for which I am extremely grateful. This group included one of my closest friends, O. O was my support during the breakup. We confided in each other frequently. I shared all the little details and lies that C had told me. Naturally, this led to a close bond between us. She expressed that she was attracted to me, but she was in a relationship. The attraction was mutual, but I was not in the right mindset to pursue anything romantic, and the fact that she had a boyfriend completely turned me off. As time passed, our connection grew stronger. O made several attempts to engage with me intimately, but I politely declined since her deviation from her boyfriend had already put me off from the beginning. O and her boyfriend eventually ended their relationship. Consequently, we met up frequently to discuss matters, and I wanted to support her as much as she had supported me. Her attraction to me intensified, but once again, I hesitated to pursue anything further, knowing that she had been willing to betray her boyfriend to be with me. Following this, she began a pattern of dating many different people, which was a confusing time. She was extremely flirty with me but would also talk about all the guys she was seeing. Perhaps she intended to make me jealous, but it only pushed me away further. If anything, it saddened me. I recognized that she was a kind soul, and witnessing her put herself through such turmoil was distressing. As time progressed, she started dating a guy who lived in the same city as C. Interestingly, they even resided very close to each other and attended the same school. I joked with O, saying that she would probably run into C at some point. Not much occurred over the course of that year. O and I began communicating less and less. However, we grew close again during the summer of that year, but I reminded her of my boundaries and limited our contact for a period as I was uncomfortable with her straying from her boyfriend once more. Time passed and we did not speak for around 4 months. I found peace in leading a quiet life, and O was genuinely happy with the direction her life was taking. She unexpectedly messaged me at the start of this year, expressing that she missed having me in her life. I explained my reasons for not reaching out and conveyed that I felt it would be better for us to take a break from communicating. A couple of weeks later, her boyfriend ended their relationship. From how I have expressed things, it seems like my distancing contributed to this, but it did not, and I remain unaware of their reasons for parting ways. We met up for a drink to discuss matters, and she mentioned that she was moving to a place where all of her clients were based. She found somewhere to stay, and once she was settled, we planned another catch-up session. We sat down to have dinner together but chose to sit side by side rather than across from each other. As we chatted, we both pulled out our phones a couple of times to check for messages from family, etc. She opened a Snapchat on her phone, and I glanced down at a similar moment, which meant that I caught a glimpse of the message. It was a picture of someone who looked familiar. I laughed and said that I did not intend to look at her phone, but that it reminded me of someone, and before I could say C's name, she replied, "Oh, it was." This caught me completely off guard. As much as I want to claim that I have moved on and stopped thinking about C, it reignited some of my past trauma and got me reflecting. O noticed that I was not myself afterward, and we agreed to discuss it further after we finished eating. It turns out O had contacted C regarding something work-related, which is understandable. Since then, they have maintained their communication. Ultimately, it is none of my business who O chooses to be friends with, and I have no problem with her knowing C. However, when she mentioned that they had been discussing me, along with C and my previous relationship, it threw me off a bit, especially considering everything O had said about C in the past. This incident occurred about a week ago, and it has been on my mind ever since. Story 3. My ex-C dumped me for the distance, but I later found out she was cheating. After leaning on my friend O through the heartbreak, she suddenly connected with C, saying, "We've talked about you." I was blindsided. How could she be friends with the girl who broke my heart? Now I'm left wondering what's next. This is an unusual story. I will try to keep it brief and concise. It involves 2 individuals. My former girlfriend C. My female friend O. My former girlfriend and I were in a long-distance relationship of sorts. It was the kind of distance that is quite inconvenient, but it could easily work if both parties are willing to make the necessary sacrifices. To sum it up, she broke up with me and cited the distance as the reason, but I later discovered that she had been unfaithful. It shattered my heart. Shortly after this event, I received an invitation from a new group of friends to help take my mind off things, for which I am extremely grateful. This group included one of my closest friends, O. O was my support system during the breakup. We confided in each other frequently. I shared all the little details and lies that C had told me. Naturally, this closeness led us to develop a strong bond. She expressed that she was attracted to me but she had a boyfriend. The attraction was mutual, yet I was not in the right mindset to pursue any romantic involvement, and the fact that she had a boyfriend deterred me from considering her as an option. As time passed, our connection deepened. O made several attempts to become intimate with me, but I politely declined as her deviation from her boyfriend had initially put me off. When O and her boyfriend broke up, we began to meet frequently to discuss various topics, and I wanted to support her just as she had supported me. Her feelings for me intensified, but once again, I hesitated to move forward because I knew she was capable of being unfaithful in order to reach me. Following this, she entered a phase of frequently hooking up with different people. It was a perplexing time. She would act very flirtatiously towards me yet share details about the men she was dating. Perhaps she was trying to make me jealous, I am not certain. However, it only served to push me away even further. In fact, it was disheartening for me. I recognized her kind nature, and witnessing her put herself through such turmoil was painful. As time continued, she began seeing a man who resided in the same city as C. Ironically, they lived very close to one another and attended the same school. I joked with O that she would likely run into C at some point. Not much transpired over the course of that year. O and I gradually communicated less and less. We reconnected during the summer of that year, but I reminded her of my boundaries and severed contact for a time because I was uncomfortable with her straying from her boyfriend once again. Time passed and we did not communicate for about 4 months. I had found contentment in living a quieter life, and O was also very happy with her own life. At the beginning of this year, she unexpectedly reached out and expressed that she missed having me in her life. I explained my reasons for not contacting her and conveyed that I believed it was best for us to take a break from our communications. A couple of weeks after that, her boyfriend ended their relationship. The way I have explained things may imply that my actions contributed to this, but they did not, and I still do not know the reasons behind their separation. We met for a drink to discuss matters, and she informed me that she was securing a place in the same city where all her clients were now based. She found a place to stay, and once she was somewhat settled, we arranged another meeting. We sat down to have dinner together, opting to sit side by side rather than across from each other. We were chatting and occasionally took out our phones to check for messages from family, etc. She opened a Snapchat on her phone, and I happened to glance at the same time, which allowed me to see the message. It was a picture of someone who appeared familiar. I laughed and mentioned that I did not intend to look at her phone, but that it reminded me of someone, and before I could say see, she replied, "Oh, it was." This took me by surprise. As much as I would like to claim I had moved on and stopped thinking about C, it reignited some old trauma and made me reflect. O could sense that I was not acting like myself afterward, and we agreed to discuss it further once we finished eating. It turned out that O had contacted C regarding something related to work, which is reasonable. Since then, they have maintained communication. Ultimately, it is none of my concern whom O chooses to befriend, and I have no problem with her knowing C. However, when she mentioned that they had discussed me, along with C and I being together, it unsettled me slightly. This was especially true given everything O had previously said about C. It is a peculiar situation that has been weighing on my mind. Story 4. After a year and a half of love with my partner, a hidden Reddit account revealed my fantasies of slave training while I was with my ex. Now my partner feels betrayed, asking, "Did I sell you a lie?" As our future hangs in doubt. Can I rebuild his trust? This is going to be lengthy, and I appreciate anyone who takes the time to read this. I am cross-posting this on other Reddit pages as well, so I apologize if you have encountered this elsewhere. I just need as much advice and accountability as I can obtain. I am also aware that my partner frequently reads Reddit and these pages. If you are reading this, hello. I apologize, and I am doing this to ensure accountability and to clearly articulate everything so that I can hopefully begin to unearth it. Additionally, for context, we are both cisgender men and are in a same-sex relationship. My current partner and I have been in a relationship for about a year and a half. We currently reside with my parents and are planning to purchase a house in the coming months. My partner has been incredibly supportive and has treated me with love and kindness since day one. However, I have not reciprocated in the same way. Approximately 5 months into our relationship, I created a Reddit account different from this one, visited a gay Skype Reddit page and posted there expressing that I wanted slave training, something I had never tried or shared with my partner. I received responses, and I spoke with one person for a minute. It was only when that person mentioned wanting to sexually assault me that I ended the conversation. I did not inform my partner about this at the time. They recently discovered this fact when they found the Reddit account, which I believed I had deleted, and they are understandably deeply hurt and upset. Today, my partner did further investigation and found that I had engaged in this behavior not just while in a relationship with them, but also during my time with my ex. I created multiple Reddit accounts and one Snapchat account, and to be honest, I cannot specifically remember how many there were, nor can I recall the account names or passwords. My partner is again hurt not only by my actions, but also because I previously claimed that I had never engaged in such behavior. They feel deceived, believing that I sold them a lie, and they are now questioning whether our relationship can continue. For context, when we began dating, we both stated that we were predominantly tops but would bottom for each other. My partner had never bottomed before, and while I had done so a few times, there was only one occasion where I genuinely enjoyed it, primarily due to the absence of pain. My partner was the first to bottom, and it was wonderful, but I kept delaying my own turn for several months until it reached a point where my partner was on the verge of leaving, and they would have done so had I not acted. Since then, I have been bottoming, although inconsistently. In recent months, I have truly begun to enjoy it, but these issues have taken a toll on my partner. He struggles with his body image, feels that I am out of his league, and believes I would prefer to be with someone else, a perception reinforced by the evidence above. This situation has escalated to the point where he struggles to maintain an erection during sex, particularly when he is the one topping. When I went onto Skype and requested slave training, I believed this was something I was interested in. Yes, I like my partner to be slightly more forceful, but I would not want to engage in extreme bondage with chains and whips. Yet I seem to lash out in that instance. A similar situation occurred while I was with my ex, but during that time we had not been intimate in months, and I was uncertain of what to do. Using Skype was something I had done before coming out as it felt safer. If someone was inappropriate, I could simply end the conversation and block them. It also shielded me from the process of having to come out. I have now been out for about 3 years, but I returned to Skype in moments of stress while I was with my ex. With my current partner, however, I resorted to that behavior even when we were at our best, likely out of self-sabotage or the thought that this could not be genuine. I do not intend for this to serve as an excuse, but merely as an explanation. I understand the gravity of my actions. The act of doing those things, as well as the decision to keep it hidden, is appalling, and I certainly do not expect sympathy. I am in the early stages of therapy to help me understand why I resorted to such actions, but I want to seek advice. How can I assist my partner in feeling valued and hopefully earn their trust and forgiveness over time? I recognize that there is no one-size-fits-all solution and nothing is guaranteed. There is a possibility that things may be irreparable, and if you all advise him to break up with me, I understand that perspective. I simply wish to request honest advice and suggestions on what I can do to help him heal and demonstrate the good in our relationship. If you have taken the time to read all of this, thank you. Story 5. Cheated on my girlfriend at 18 with a 41-year-old MILF who teased me in a van. I need you to smell my panties, she said, and I was hooked. After an unforgettable taste, she left me with a promise. If you're a good boy, maybe I'll let you stick it in. What happened next still haunts me. So I am not much of a writer, but I will try my best. At the time, I was freshly graduated from high school at the age of 18, and I am currently 30 years old. I was in a relationship with a girl whom I will call Anna for about a year, and she had just moved in with me and a few roommates. Everything was wonderful. We were intimate frequently, and I was happy, except that our sex life was rather mediocre. Since we were both each other's first partners, we did not really know how to experiment with one another or try anything new, so it became dull rather quickly. So behind her back, I began seeking excitement online. I downloaded an application called Meet Me and ended up discovering an attractive older woman who was 41 years old and lived only 2 miles away. We started chatting, and I kept telling her about my girlfriend and how I was already bored with her, expressing my strong desire to explore new sexual experiences. She would tell me that the thought of a young 18-year-old willing to cheat on his girlfriend for her older woman's body excited her. Then she would send me photos of her legs spread wide, teasing me every day for about 3 weeks. She was driving me wild, and I was so aroused that I created videos of myself climaxing and sent them to her. She would respond by telling me that I was a good boy. One day, she told me she wanted to meet in the Home Depot parking lot, which was around the corner from where I was living. She wanted to hang out with someone during her lunch break. She instructed me to get into the back seat of her van when I arrived, as she drove a minivan typical of a soccer mom. I told my girlfriend I had to go to the Home Depot to pick something up, which worked out well because she disliked Home Depot. I quickly ran to the store and looked for the van. When I opened the door and got inside, I was absolutely astonished. She was sitting there with her legs spread open, wearing a pair of light blue panties and a cute pair of pink Nike socks. I do not know why I remember that so vividly, but I do. She told me that she wanted me to taste her wet body, but first I had to smell the panties she had worn to work all morning. She took them off and handed them to me. I grabbed them and inhaled deeply. Her scent was absolutely divine. It was the sweetest, most incredible fragrance imaginable. I could detect her sweat, but in the most pleasant way possible. I instantly became completely aroused and begged to taste her. She then beckoned me closer with her finger and pushed my face right into her body. She tasted so incredibly good. Then she grabbed me by the hair and started grinding her body all over my tongue. I felt like I was going to orgasm in my pants because I had never experienced such pleasure before, and I loved it. She kept moving on my face until she literally squirted all over me and made me lick it up. I asked her if I could penetrate her and she smiled and said, "Nope, I just needed you to make me climax, good boy." Then she kissed me on the lips and remarked that she could taste herself on my lips, saying that I tasted good. I protested, pointing out my arousal, and she replied, "Let me see how hard you are for me." I promptly pulled out my 18-year-old member and she grabbed it, looked me in the eyes, then slowly glanced down and spat on it. She began to stroke it slowly and said, "If you keep being a good boy, one day I might let you enter me. Now get out of my van. I have to return to work." So I put myself away, exited the van, and began walking home with a significant erection, trying to get it to subside before I arrived home to my girlfriend. I attempted to meet up with her multiple times after that, but it never worked out. She kept teasing me with pictures, and one day she asked me to meet during her lunch break when I was 21. However, I was late and did not arrive on time as her break was over. She became upset and blocked me from all platforms, and I have not heard from her since. Since then, I have tasted many bodies, but none compare to hers. I forgot to mention that she allowed me to keep the light blue panties that she was wearing, but on my walk back home, I became nervous about getting caught, so I discarded them into a dumpster before arriving home. That remains the biggest regret of my life.